Now then, settle in close to the fire, friends. Let me tell you a tale that few remember in its fullness. When the last ember of dragon fire died in Smaug's breast, when his mighty form crashed into the cold waters of the long lake, what became of the dwarves who had dreamed so long of their lost kingdom? Aye, you know of Thorin's quest, of the battle of 5 armies. But what of the years that followed? What of the tears shed in golden halls, the hammers that rang once more in ancient forges, and the shadows that lingered where dragon sickness had taken root? Pull up a chair, dear wanderer. This old storyteller has gathered threads from many sources. From the Red Book itself, from whispers in Dale's markets, from songs the dwarves sing only in their deepest halls. Tonight, we journey beyond the dragon's death to witness the true price of reclaiming a kingdom. But first, before we delve into these ancient halls, from which corner of Middle-earth do you hail, friend? Whether you're watching from the Shire's green hills or from lands far beyond the sea, write your home in the comments below. It warms an old heart to know how far these tales travel. And if these stories stir something in your heart, consider subscribing to our humble gathering. Your support keeps the candles burning and the tales flowing night after night. Now then, where were we? Ah yes, the death of the last great drake of the north. Picture it, if you will, the year 2941 of the Third Age. Smaug the Golden, Smaug the Impenetrable, Smaug the chiefest and greatest of calamities lies dead. Bard's black arrow found the one bare patch in that armor of greed, and down the worm fell like a star torn from the heavens. But dragons, my friends, dragons leave more than corpses. They leave curses that seep into stone and gold. They leave memories that haunt for generations. And most dangerous of all, they leave behind the treasures they've hoarded, treasures that can poison hearts as surely as any dragon spell. Within hours of Smaug's fall, the mountain that had slept under dragon dreams for 171 years began to stir. Erebor, the lonely mountain, greatest of all dwarf kingdoms in the latter days, stood kingless, doorless, and filled with more gold than mortal mind can fathom. 13 dwarves and 1 hobbit stood in those vast halls, breathing air still thick with dragon reek. But already armies were marching, men of Lake Town seeking recompense for their burned homes, elves of the woodland realm remembering ancient claims, and from the north. But we'll come to that darkness soon enough. To understand what befell the dwarves, we must first speak of dragon sickness, that peculiar madness that gold lust brings. Tolkien himself wrote that it was not merely greed, but something deeper, a corruption that dragons breathe into their hordes over long centuries. You see, when Thror ruled Erebor in its glory days, the wealth was already working its poison. The dwarves delved too greedily, awakened things better left sleeping. Some say it was their hammering that first woke Smaug in the Grey Mountains. The dragon came not by chance, but drawn like a moth to flame, or perhaps like a disease to a weakened body. Now, with Smaug dead, that sickness didn't simply vanish. It concentrated, intensified. Thorin Oakenshield, grandson of kings, felt it grip his heart like cold iron. The Arkenstone, that cursed jewel, that heart of the mountain, became his obsession. The old texts speak of how dragon gold remembers its master, how it whispers promises of power to those who claim it. Thorin heard those whispers, and they spoke to him of birthright, of vengeance, of walls built high against all who would share in dwarf wealth. But here's what the songs often miss, friend. Thorin wasn't simply greedy. No, his madness was built on older foundations. Exile, loss, the weight of watching his people scattered like autumn leaves. Imagine carrying your grandfather's shame, your father's disappearance, your people's homelessness. Then suddenly, in one dragon's death, seeing the chance to restore everything. The gold wasn't just gold to Thorin, it was vindication. It was the power to say, "Never again will my people beg for work in the towns of men." Balin understood this. Dear old Balin, wisest of the company, he saw how the mountain's wealth was both salvation and damnation. He tried to counsel moderation, but how do you moderate a century of dreams? Dwalin, his brother, chose loyalty over wisdom, stood by Thorin even as the king's eyes grew cold as dragon ice. And the others? Each dwarf faced their own battle. Fili and Kili, so young, torn between uncle and honor. Glóin, thinking of his son Gimli safe at home, wondering what inheritance he was securing. Even Bombur, jolly Bombur, felt the weight of gold lust settling on his shoulders like a millstone. Now learned folk might notice something. This tale echoes older stories, doesn't it? Think of Feanor and the Silmarils, that elf lord whose obsession with jewels brought ruin to nations. Think of Isildur, unable to cast away the ring when he had the chance. The pattern repeats. Treasure corrupts, obsession destroys. Dragon gold burns even after the dragon dies. But there's deeper magic at work here. Dragons in Tolkien's world aren't mere beasts. They're weapons, created by Morgoth in the Elder Days. Their greed isn't natural but designed. A spiritual poison meant to turn strength into weakness, loyalty into suspicion, love into possessiveness. And what of the armies converging on Erebor? Each carried their own dragon sickness in a way. Thranduil of the Elves, nursing ancient grievances about white gems of Lasgallen. The men of Laketown, their need real but their new master already scheming. Even the orcs of Gundabad, marching under Bolg's command, came for gold as much as vengeance. The mountain had become a lodestone of greed, drawing all the North's tensions to a single point. As the old saying goes, where dragon gold gathers, blood soon follows. And then came the storm. The Battle of Five Armies, they call it now. Such a tidy name for such chaos. But in the mud and blood of that day, something extraordinary happened. Thorin Oakenshield, in his final charge from the gate, broke free of the dragon sickness. Some say it was the sight of his nephews fighting. Others claim it was Bilbo's sacrifice that cracked the ice around his heart. But I think it was simpler. In battle, with death grinning at him, Thorin remembered who he was beneath the gold lust. A warrior, a protector, a king. His last words to Bilbo, they still bring tears to these old eyes. If more of us valued food and cheer and song above hoarded gold, it would be a merrier world. In death, Thorin found the wisdom that had eluded him in life. But what of those who survived? Dain Ironfoot came from the Iron Hills, became king under the mountain. A practical dwarf, Dain, who knew that gold meant nothing if you had no allies to trade with. He honored the agreements Thorin had refused, shared the wealth, rebuilt not just Erebor but the bonds between dwarves, men, and even elves. The lonely mountain began to live again. Refugees returned from the Blue Mountains and the Iron Hills. The forges roared back to life, but now they made tools as often as weapons, toys for the children of Dale alongside armor for guardians. The dragon sickness faded like a fever breaking, though some say on quiet nights you can still hear whispers in the treasury. But here's the deepest truth, the one the dwarves learned through blood and tears. Kingdoms aren't built on gold. They're built on bonds between folk, on trust earned and honor kept. Smaug had made Erebor a tomb filled with treasure. It took the dwarves' sacrifice to make it a home again. Think on Balin, 30 years later, leading an expedition to reclaim Moria. He'd seen what dragon sickness could do, yet still he dreamed of ancient halls. Was it bravery or blindness? Perhaps both. Perhaps that's what it means to be a dwarf, to build and rebuild, even knowing that dragons and darker things wait in the world's foundations. And Bilbo? Our dear hobbit returned to his shire with a mithril shirt and a magic ring, but more importantly, with the knowledge that all the gold in Erebor couldn't purchase what he already had. A home where dragon sickness had never taken root, where gardens mattered more than gold mines. Yet, didn't he keep that ring? Didn't he feel its pull growing stronger with the years? Perhaps dragon sickness comes in many forms, and perhaps we all carry a touch of it. That desire to grasp and hold what should flow freely, like water or wind or love itself. So there you have it, friends. The tale of what became of the dwarves after Smaug's death. A tale of glory tainted by greed, of kingdoms reclaimed and innocence lost, of dragon fire that burns long after the dragon falls. Erebor stands proud again in our day, they say. Dale prospers beside it. Men and dwarves trade freely, and on feast days they still sing of the Battle of 5 Armies. But they also sing warnings of how quickly gold can become chains, how easily dragon whispers can turn friend against friend. If these tales of Middle-earth stir your heart, we've many more nights of stories ahead. Visit our playlists, journey through the Elder Days, walk the paths of the Fellowship, discover the mysteries that Tolkien hinted at but never fully told. And remember, subscribe if you would, ring that bell for notifications. Help us keep this hearth burning bright for all who seek the old tales in these modern days. Share our stories with fellow travelers, for tales grow richer in the sharing. Until next time, dear friends, may your roads be straight, your corners cozy, and may you always choose food and cheer and song over hoarded gold. This is your humble storyteller, bidding you good night from this corner of the world that Tolkien built. Keep the candle burning, wanderers, for the night is dark but stories light the way home.